Assalamu alaikum. How do computer access the data? The data, your files, which are saved, which may be saved on a disk. For example, you have a disk, right? And in disk you have tracks, you have sectors, and then you have blocks. So how do the computer or the operating system access the data? Meaning that does it go from like this, go from one track? Let me change the color here. So go from track 1 and then go to track 2 and then go to track 3 and to 4 and then reach the data, right? Does it do that, or does it really just if this is your disk and your data is sitting here someplace, here, so you can really access that directly like this, just going to the data directly. So today, this is what we're going to learn, right? The access methods. So the first method that is used is called sequential method. As the name says, right, it is in a sequence, meaning that if you have, let's say, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks. So in sequence, you must, let's say if your file is sitting over here, that is where your file is. So you must go to the 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4th block, 5th block, 6th block, and then you get to the 7th. So this is sequential access. Okay. Now the second method is called random access. So what is random access? As the name says, that this is sort of like direct access. Okay, direct access. So you have these blocks of, with the data blocks or sectors, and you call whatever you want to call it, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and let's say your file is over here, your data file that you're looking for. So in random access, usually the read write head is right here on top, so you can really access directly, right? If your file is over here, you can really just go directly over here. You do not need to go to like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can access directly. So this is called random access. Now, what is seek time? Seek time is the time it takes to locate the data on the disk, right? For example, you go to the file index, and it says that this file is located on sector 1, track 2, and block 6 through 10, right? So how long will it take for your media, for your disk to go and locate that data is the seek time? And then how long will it take it to bring it to the memory or bring it to the CPU is called load time. So both of these things, seek time and load time, means the speed. So when you say that your data is fast, your storage is fast, that means that really the seek time is less and the load time is faster. So just remember these things. Now let's quickly take a look at some of the examples here. Okay. The okay. So here's an example of again of the sequential access versus the random access. So this is sequential access over here. See, if your file is over here, right? So let's say this is the computer or the read write head, right? So it's gonna come to really this first block, second block, and then third block. So it must go in a sequence, right? The versus is the random access. Okay, in random access, see, this is your read right head, and you can really access it. Let's say your file was on third one over here, right? Third block, 1, 2, 3, 4. Your file was here. See, you can really directly access the file. You do not need to go through 1 and then 2 and then 3, right? You can access it directly. So this is random access. So here are some examples of that. Here's another one: sequential versus random, right? In sequential, you're going in a sequence. This is sequential, this is random. So in sequential, you go from 1 to second block and the third block, right? And the fourth block, and then, all the way there. Even if your file was here, you have to go through, you have to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you get to the 7. In random, you want to go to, from here, you want to go to the 2, you can go over there. From 6, you come back to 3. It's randomly accessed. All right. So now let's take a look at some of the media that we use, right? So here's an example of sequential media, right? I mean, see the Apple computers. They used to use the storage a long time ago, okay? So this cassette works like that. See, this thing over here is the read-write head that I was keep referring to, right? So from this spot here, and this is the called magnetic tape. So this read-write head puts like zeros, ones, zeros, ones, zeros, ones, putting like magnetic dots on this tape. And this tape gets over here and get wrapped around this thing over here. So now imagine that if you need to read some data, which is really somewhere over here, where the blue spot is here. Now this whole thing has to be rewinded back over here, right? Like that, to be able to get to this dot. You know how long it's going to take. So in sequential media, the seek time is longer, right? But the load time is faster because once you reach this spot, all those files are located right next to each other. In random access, a file may be located really in random places. So you may have to go to many places on the disk to access that. So this is an example of sequential media, right? Sequential read and write. This sequential access. Here's another one. So this is the magnetic tape that I was talking about. That you save the data, right? In 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, whatever, put the magnetic. 0 mean no magnetic spot, 1 mean put a magnetic spot. And usually your head, read-write head goes over here. And this thing goes over here and goes on the other side. So you go back and forth and remind like that. So this is sequential access. Okay. Now, versus the random access will be, again, this example over here. As you can see that, this is your hard disk drive, right? In a hard disk drive, these are the platters, and your data is sitting all over the place over here. Maybe a file is here, or it could be that the part of the file is here. Let's say I'm gonna make these red and some blue spots. So see, the blue file is scattered all over the place, right? So even though you can access directly, to it, but then you have to go to many different places to access, to get the blue file, right? Or same thing with red file. This doesn't happen in the sequence media. In sequential media, once you get to a point, then really all the files are next to each other. They're contiguous, right? They're contiguous. They're connected next to each other. So this was an example. Hard disk drive is. Now look at this one, and we'll end with this. So over here, we know that this is hard disk drive. So guess what? What is hard disk drive? Random or sequential? Random. I'm gonna put R over here, okay? It accesses the data randomly. What is this? It's a memory module, right? Random. Its name is random access memory. So this accesses the data randomly. This is the ROM, read-only memory, right? This is also random. This is CD-ROM, is also random. This is floppy drive. You may not see this. We used to use this. Also random access. This is a small SD card that goes into the cameras and stuff like that. This is also a memory card. It's also random. Your USB or thumb drive is also random. And guess tape drive. Tape drive is sequential. Only tape drive is sequential. Now one may ask the question, and please remember this for because I may ask questions about that. That what's the point of using sequential storage media, because it seems like so bad, right? I mean, it breaks, and this tape can really get broken, or if you bring this close to the magnet, guess what's going to happen to it, right? You're done with it, literally. If you bring a magnet close to over here, if you bring a magnet, and it's going to ruin all the data, right? But the reason we still use is for the backup, okay? Just remember that for the question. Backup, data backup. So when you want to back up your hard disk drive, there's data over there, and you're afraid that hard disk drive may get broken someday. So we use tape media for backup, because tape media is why we use that. It is cheap. It's very cheap. You can buy that. Hard disk drives are expensive. This is cheap. So we use this really to back up our hard drives. So in big data centers, they have these big tape closets. Literally, they have hundreds of tapes in them, and they really back up all the data every night or every hour, so that if something goes wrong with the computer, so you can really bring back that data from the tape drive. Yes, it takes some time, but at least you have the data. Okay.